Customizing your 4x4 on a budget. So today we will be installing a National Luna 85 amp battery isolating solenoid into my Mitsubishi Triton 2009. So what do we need for the installation? Firstly, we need a vehicle with a battery, a dual battery solenoid, power cables, a circuit breaker, some heat shrink, some lugs, a couple of screws to secure the solenoid, and a couple of tools. 3.2 liter dual cab. So I've got this 16mm square power cables, which will be running from the main battery through the solenoid all the way down the firewall, along the chassis, into the back of the tub where the dual battery or the secondary battery is allocated, which is right there. That's been installed a couple of days ago, just as a test run to see if the battery shakes, moves. It still needs a bracket to secure. There's a couple of plugs and charging leads. I installed a 7.2 amp intelligent Meanwell charger with a standard kettle cord, which gives me the ability to charge the battery off a standard 16 amp 220 volt plug. I've got a 750 watt inverter. Wiring is a bit shady at the moment. There's a USB plug for your phone and your camera or your whatever. 12 volt for your fridge or some extra lights, and a light bar switch which is allocated at the top of the canopy, and a 220 volt outlet from the inverter with the isolating switch. That's the location of the dual battery solenoid. We reused a old bracket from a different vehicle. The reason we did that is so that there's some space for the spotlight relay and the spotlight controller, which is a different video by itself. It's also right up against the firewall, so we can run the auxiliary battery cable down to the chassis and into the tub at the back of the van. I decided to put the circuit breaker out of the way, fairly high. Now I will go ahead and install the cables. So this car comes with earthing points. 1, 2, 3. There's several around the battery bay. So I decided to add an earthing point onto the terminal by simply drilling a 6mm hole, installing a bolt and nut from the bottom, locking the bolt with the nut to the terminal, creating a very good earthing point. The same point will be used later for the 16mm earth cable running on the same route, passing through to the negative terminal of the auxiliary battery. I installed the positive terminal through the 120 amp fuse standard with the car through the 16mm cable going along to the main battery input of the solenoid. So I took the standard lug that comes with the kit and crimped it on there, put the heat shrink over, and then bent the connection at 90 degrees so it can follow the same route as the cable of the factory install. Okay, so the wiring has been done. That there is the positive cable running to the auxiliary battery into the split tubing there, down into the chassis. We'll trace that now. The other side is running into the solenoid. That's the main battery running into this junction box here of the standard, and if we measure on the main battery side, it's 12 volts. On the auxiliary side, nothing until we flick the circuit breaker closed, measuring 12 volts. When we open the circuit breaker, the power goes away, which means the installation is successful. So the cabling from the solenoid is running through this split tubing, which I've run across the firewall cavity right down to the bottom there, inside the chassis. Can't really see anything inside. There's nothing to see. There we go. Exiting on that side. There it comes out of the chassis, running all along the cross member into the chassis again, exiting on that side, going into the tub, right through there. I opted for 2 compression glands going through the body. Simple reason, I don't want a short. There's the negative, positive, job done. Oh, there we go. The timer is now active. You have to wait 5 minutes before the solenoid kicks in, or if the main battery reaches more than 13.2 volts, and the solenoid will automatically kick over to charge the auxiliary battery. There we go.
It's been about 5 minutes or so. The battery has, the main battery has reached the restore point, and the solenoid has kicked in. Now charging the auxiliary battery, and if we do a measurement there, it's now sitting on 13 volts and it was sitting on 12 volts. So it is charging, solenoid is engaged, the bottom LED is not lit, so the fuse is not blown, circuit breaker is still closed. Went for a quick test drive, about 10 kilometers or so. Came back, no problems, solenoid still engaged. I'm not 100% sure how long it's going to take to disconnect the second battery from the main, but all in all, the system is working perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever, and I'm happy. So that's 4x4 on a budget. Quick rundown, installation of a National Luna battery isolating solenoid, 85 amp, using a circuit breaker and not a fuse. That's a 50 amp circuit breaker onto an 85 amp solenoid. I think it's worked well within spec. All in all, with installation, planning, laying off the cables, took roughly 2 hours. I think job well done.